Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got to look at Kong the Commander. There's the base trait, increase the damage of your battleship's AA guns. And we'll take a look at the perk in slot 2, increase the damage and the survivability of the AA. So very heavily focused on the anti-air aspect on this build. Currently I don't find that interesting. Once we get some hardcore carrier players, maybe the value of those type of perks will go up. But currently I think Godzilla is the stronger of the two commanders. Doubles the shots available per spotter plane launch and cycles through the spotter plane reload much faster. Why are we showing this game? We don't even have a carrier in here. So once again, I showed you the build. That's the commander if it interests you. Hopefully you can get out of the crates, since I think it's pretty dang expensive to buy not getting crates. But here we're going to be talking about destroyer play. We're not in the destroyer. We're going against a T-61. Need to stay up front. I'm going to be very critical of this particular game. Number one, I don't want to see comments trashing the player. That's not the purpose of this game. Yes, it's a bad destroyer game, but it's emblematic of almost every destroyer play. You know, every game almost you see destroyers trying to do what this guy's trying to do. So it's no, I'm not here to say check out this particular player, look what he did in this particular game. We're here to say this is the state of destroyer play in World of Warships Legends in May 2021. And this is the biggest problem with this game. For anyone that's actually trying to win the game, bad destroyer player is the biggest impediment to it. And basically this guy is going to attempt to torp me for 15 minutes. He may hit me with 2 or 3 torps, I don't remember. But he's going to wind up with about 500 points on the leaderboard. Again, not trying to trash the player. We're trashing the strategy. So T-61, one of the best ships in the game, certainly the best ship in this particular game. What should we be doing with the T-61? He's on A right now. You see he got spotted there. I think he got perhaps a little bit too close to the cruiser. Immediately pops smoke. I don't have a problem with that play at all. He slams on the brakes. We're going to pop him here. But then he's going to get off the cap, and he's not going to go after a cap for the remainder of the game. They're going to kill. We have 2 light cruisers over here. Down goes the Kirov. We got another one, Nuremberg. He's not long for this world. So at that point in time, it's impossible for me in a New Mexico to capture A. But it's actually going to be the California that captures the base, which is the wrong thing. If that destroyer gets back on the cap now and he's smoked it up there, it should be able to get on that cap safely. Then they win this game. It's going to be a tight game. At the end, comes down to score. That's mistake number 1. Immediately, whenever you got the chance as the destroyer player to capture the base, once the team has prepared the map for you, we've gotten rid of the main threats, the cruisers. I'm not going to push into a T-61, you nuts. Go ahead and get the cap. Every minute that you control the cap is more and more points that you're going to need at the end of the game to win the game. And then the second mistake, and it's going to be his only other mistake, is he's going to spend the remainder of the game trying to kill me instead of getting the caps. You know, the path to B currently, it doesn't look that appealing to me. I won't necessarily want to be going hard through a bunch of ships at the moment, but he's going to basically go all the way along the western edge of the map, and then at some point in time he's going to circle to the north of me and subject me to torpedo strike after torpedo strike. We're going to go ahead and dodge them because he's primarily launching on the aim indicator, which is pretty easy to dodge once you understand what they're trying to do. And there's no points being generated by this guy. The destroyers in domination mode are there to capture the bases. That's their main thing they need to be doing. Second main thing they need to be doing is countering the enemy destroyers who are trying to capture the bases. Third thing they need to be doing, creating spotting for ships so that they can use concealment and cover and deal damage that's not being returned to them. There he makes another mistake. He gets spotted. Now, from a technical standpoint, this guy's got spotted twice, so that's 2 mistakes easily correctable. Just don't let ships inside your blue ring on the map. But from a technical standpoint, here on out, he actually plays a pretty good game. He doesn't get spotted. He continues to torp from stealth, and he doesn't get frustrated. A lot of destroyer players will get frustrated. They'll start opening up with the guns in the open water. If you're a destroyer player trying to gun down a battleship that is 40,000, 50,000 health, that's going to take you usually about 20 minutes to do, and the game's not actually 20 minutes long, so you can't physically do it. Meanwhile, assuming they are willing to shoot at destroyers, they'll just put the guns on you. You're going to be spotted because you're shooting in the open water. They're just going to blast you, kill you. So he doesn't do those things. He doesn't do the worst thing you can do as a destroyer, which is bum rush a battleship and suicide rush them and get killed. A lot of players will trade their destroyers for battleships, thinking that's a big trade. Oh, we got the big mean battleship off the board. The destroyer is far more valuable than a battleship. Battleship's the least valuable of the three traditional pieces. We'll see how it shakes out once the carriers get better at their craft. But currently, trading a destroyer for battleship, very, very rarely the right play. Once in a while will be in certain situations, but that's the go-to play for a lot of players. So he's not doing any of those technical bad things, but the strategy, not getting A when he had the chance to get A, and then focusing on me. At this point in time, he's got ships pushing into B. He should already be on B at this point in time. He might have a cruiser over there. I can't see. The map's pretty small on my replay screen at the moment. But yeah, there's the destroyer, or the cruiser, sorry, on B. Rely on the battleships to kill him, and then once that happens, then you're there to capture the base, and then you can consider moving into C. We don't have any destroyers left for him to counter, so don't have to worry about that aspect. But bogged down trying to torp me, and I'm doing a pretty decent job dodging them, but they're really not that hard to do. I'm just keeping an eye on roughly where he is, and we haven't spotted him for a while now, but we're just keeping an eye on where those torps are, and you can get a feel for where the ship is moving just based on where the torps are coming from. So I have to worry about two things in this situation. I got an angle against the California, who's out trading me, and he's basically bullying me, just pushing me around, and I got the destroyer trying to torp me at the same time. So if he wants to create a crossfire with the battleship, that would resolve this very quickly. He could send torps where if I had to dodge them, then I'm all of a sudden pointing my broadside to the California. California whacks me in one or two hits, and down I go. But they're basically pursuing me from the same angle. I got that island blocking the California currently, which is relieving some pressure. But a lot of newer battleship players that get really frustrated when these destroyers start hunting them down. They get, it's a very common complaint that you see online for new battleship players. But as long as you understand, okay, I'm under a torpedo strike, or I'm under a torpedo threat, I'm under attack by this guy, then what we need to be doing is varying speeds, varying courses. So T61, I play that ship a lot. I know his reload should be roughly 65 seconds or so. So every time we see these salvos come in, I know I got about, 10, 15, 20 seconds. So what I've been doing a lot is kind of flashing them a little bit of broadside, trying to maintain a little bit of a straight line for 10, 15, 20 seconds. Let them fire those torps on the indicator, and then we'll just go ahead and point the rear towards where we suspect him to be. And we're kind of dodging a lot of these salvos with ease. So, it's easier said than done. I understand that. But destroyers, once you kind of understand how to respond to them, they become a little bit less threatening. And this game, we're not going to get a barn burner in terms of damage. We do wind up at the top score, but it's not like a mind-blowing score or anything. But tying up the most dangerous piece and the most important piece in the game for the enemy team for the entirety of the match, I think that's a good thing that's not reflected on the scoreboard. It's a good result, and it helps your team win the game. So you can see here, we're just kind of varying our course here, dodging these shots, and he just continues to miss. What's stopping him from getting on B? If he was on B right now, he'd have a better shot at hitting me because I'm moving into him. The torps have to go less distance. It's an easier torp shot. Trying to torpedo ships that are moving away from me, even very slow ships like this, much more difficult. So everything points to him being on B, being the better play. But again, this is just very common. This is emblematic of the destroyer play that's out there right now. And I want to reiterate, we're not here to pick on this particular player. That's not the point of this. This is the point of this video. The only reason I'm making this is so common. This is far more common than destroyers actually doing their job. Capture the base, kill the destroyers that are trying to capture the base, and spot for your team. Any torpedo damage that you happen to get during that, bonus. You'll take it. Congratulations, you got yourself a bonus. But, we make the point all the time. I much prefer destroyer players that get 0 damage and 3 caps to 150k damage, no caps. 100% of the time, I'd rather have the no damage destroyer player. That's far more easier to win the game as any other ship when your destroyers are getting the caps. They're not there to deal damage, okay? They can deal damage, and we can see some amazing damage games, either videos or screenshots of the scores. But, when you see these 200k damage games, I always check, is it a domination mode game? Oh, you got no caps. Well, I'm surprised you're posting such a poor game. Are you asking for tips? I don't go on there and actually respond to that because it'd be kind of dickish, and people are proud of their achievements. I get that, but you're not actually really playing to win the game there. You're just playing it selfishly, trying to rack up damage, which sometimes that wins games, but a lot of times, especially for the destroyer players, if that's what you're focusing on, that's how you lose games. You're responsible for the losses here. So at this point in time, we got the Trento Suicide rushing the California. Not to play, I would recommend necessarily. He does go down for his efforts, but he does kill him there. That leaves the 2 battleships and the destroyer. And we got about 5 minutes left, give or take, and plenty of time for him to win the game. I'll go ahead and get on C. Note the California and the New Mexico / Primal are on B. Both extremely slow ships. California probably the slowest battleship in the game, at least at the tiers I usually play. And this thing definitely not a marathon or not a sprinter by any means on its own either. So they already got A. We can't go down to get A in time for us to flip it and make a difference there. He's got the speed to get on C. Go ahead and fire that speed boost up, get on C, flip that cap. Now we can't get over to C in time because we don't have the speed to do it. So very easy. The pieces are in place here for a win, but we're going to be bogged down with trying to torp these guys. And when you do that, when you commit yourself, okay, I'm going to ignore the caps, we're going to ignore the points, I'm going to try and kill everyone on the enemy team. Win rates plummet. Your options for winning the game are limited. You have to kill everyone. Once the score gets too wide, at that point in time, you can't possibly dig out of the hole that you've dug for yourself score-wise, and you're probably going to lose the game unless the enemies screw up or you make some really nice plays. But, full health California and a half health Primal, who you've shot at for 9 minutes now and have only hit once or twice, not that productive. And you got to understand, I've played destroyers a lot. I haven't checked my torpedo launch stats in quite a while. I think it's about 9%. Now, a lot of times I only am trying to aim at a ship with my torpedoes maybe a third of the time, 40% of the time, or whatever. Usually I'm trying to torp locations rather than ships. But, I've torped a few ships in my day. If you're a newer player and you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is the strongest play I can make, a play that, I'm going to hit that thing 10% of the time. You're going to hit it 10% of the time. If you're a suicide rusher, you might hit it 40% of the time, whatever. But it's not designed to be a reliable method of winning the game, dealing the damage. And if you're forcing yourself to win the game by dealing damage, you're going to have trouble. You're resigning yourself to a play that has a 10% success rate. Getting caps always generates the points, assuming they're not contesting the cap. That always works. So my recommendation, if you want to win more games, play the numbers, play the odds, play what works. So we're closing in on about 11,000 games on my account. I'd probably have about 1,000 losses due to destroyers that don't want to play the caps. They want to torp battleships. So, I'll say it for the third or fourth time now. This is how destroyers are being played. And I think if we can continue to... let's start suggesting to wargaming. I think the loading screen tips is the best way to go about doing this. A lot of people keep advocating for a tutorial, but a tutorial for brand new players, if it existed, would have to focus on the mechanics. How to aim the torpedoes, how to aim the guns, what concealment is, all that sort of thing. This game, you cannot be good at it right out of the box. You just straight up cannot. You got to see a lot of situations. You got to actually understand how it's being played. You're speeding up your learning by watching myself or whoever else you're watching talk about the game or reading guides or whatever. That's a great way to jump start it and take a shortcut and kind of build experience through the lessons that other people can teach you. But they're not going to put a tutorial in the game that's going to describe proper destroyer capping strategy. It's not feasible. As a new player, there's kind of overwhelming. There's a lot going on in this game. It's not like a lot of games. It's very slow in terms of action, much more focused on the strategy. So the tutorial is not the way to go. I think the loading screen tips, if we can get about 20 tips in there describing the importance of capturing bases, the roles of the ships, tips that say like destroyers are there primarily to capture and contest bases in domination mode game, that would be a shock to a lot of people. It might sound funny to you and me because we talk about it a lot, and we hopefully all understand that. But a lot of players just straight up don't know that that's actually what they're supposed to be doing. They're like, well, I got these torpedoes, that's how I deal damage, and this game's all about dealing damage like any other shooter, so I should be torping ships. The easiest ships for me to torp, of course, are battleships, so that's all I'm going to do. And the losses pile up using that strategy. So that would be my suggestion. But we definitely need to improve the destroyer player as a community, or the destroyer play as a community, because this is what we're seeing game after game after game, and there's a lot of losses that are attributed to it. So anyway, that's a look at the Primal and Kong for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.